I guess per law, it is required for any facility or vessel that experiences a discharge of an oil or hazardous material. They're required to notify the NRC, which is the National Response Center, located in Washington, D.C. Once that notification is made, then the NRC will disseminate that out to all agencies on essentially a very large distribution list via email, fax, and other means to ensure that all the entities in that area of responsibility are notified. And so that is how the Coast Guard received notification. And from there, it is our responsibility to contact the reporting source, the potential responsible party, and verify that there is, in fact, an incident occurring. And then from there, we built up our response after communicating with the ATC, our state and local stakeholders, and kind of addressing the situation from there. I guess I can give you a guess. There's probably a total of 20 people responding. I think you got most of the agencies. We do have a tribal liaison that's representing a kind of a one voice from all the tribes in the general vicinity, just to kind of minimize confusion in conversations and whatnot that we have to have and make decisions going forward. So they're a part of the unified command as well. And then obviously we have like the contracted responders on scene. So I received email notification at 17:08, which is 5:08 p.m. on Monday evening. That was the first time I'd heard anything regarding this incident. So essentially, the Coast Guard is responsible to mitigate any pollution threats to the coastal zone. Obviously, the straits would fall into that category, and so therefore we have to investigate if there is in fact a discharge. And if so, make sure that the response is going in accordance with our area contingency plan. The Coast Guard did have an initial overflight. There was one up in the air already, so we diverted it once we received the notification of a potential pollution incident in the straits. The helo did fly over for a short amount of time and did not detect any visible sheen. So there is ice in the straits, yes. However, because of the regulatory closure and opening of the Sioux locks, once those open on the 25th of March, essentially the ice breaking operation commences, and a lot of the ice has been broken up and flushed out. So over the straits essentially is open water. There is some ice on the shoreline, maybe 100 to 200 feet out. It's broken at best. So the shoreline is essentially covered, but it's suspected that the leak in the lines occurred mid-straits, so kind of in the middle of those transmission cables, and therefore it would be in open water. They suspect it was under the water. It has not yet been confirmed. They have not been able to see or find the leaks as of now. They have secured all pressure and essentially have rendered those cables inoperable at this time, and they anticipate pulling them out and removing them from the water once the weather improves. So it acts as a coolant to these utility cables, and it is a composition of about 75% mineral oil and another 25% of a dielectric fluid. So it's a combination of oil with another lubricating additive. So it's kind of too early to speculate what damage has actually been done, but what I can say is that the SDSs, so the material safety data sheets regarding the dielectric fluid, it does have toxic components, primarily in the form of benzene. In straight product, as benzene, that would be relatively harmful and toxic to aquatic life. So that's kind of alarming, at least on initial standpoint. When you reduce it down to a 25% solution with the mineral oil that's in the cables as well, and then the 600 gallons that is suspected to have reached the water, and then the dilution factor that the water itself provides significantly reduces the toxicity and potential impacts to aquatic life. That's kind of a safe way to describe it. Obviously, there's always potential for impact, but there has not been a visible sheen, and there has not been any noted impact to wildlife. No, they are not. Actually, this is a ETC funded response. Obviously, the Coast Guard and the state and other entities have obligations and responsibilities that they need to fulfill in regards to any type of pollution incident. And therefore their standard operating expenses and budgets would probably cover their portions of it. But ATC is taking the lead on all expenditures. All right, so I just want to make clear on what your understanding of vacuuming. So essentially, there's two reservoirs at pump stations on either side of the strait. So there's one located in Mackinaw City and one located in St. Ignace. And essentially, they are vacuuming the cables from the St. Ignace side, kind of pulling all that material from south to north. It goes with the natural flow, and it uses a vacuum system, basically establishing a negative pressure overall. When they open the valve, it kind of pulls it forward like a vacuum system. Um, right now, because nothing's been detected on the water, been no visible sheen. There is no on-water recovery at this time, although we do have equipment staged and ready to be deployed should that become necessary. Oh, well, our command post is in Mackinaw City, just offshore a little ways. Can't necessarily see the water from where we are, but if you take a couple roads, you can get there. The lines themselves are, I think, a bit further west of where the Enbridge Line 5 runs along the straits, but in relatively close proximity, I would suppose. I mean, they're still within the straits. This has nothing to do with Enbridge or Line 5, completely a separate utility, completely separate type of cable or oil component on the floor, completely different setup. Enbridge has a pipeline that's a solid structure, and these are cables that are has a fluid oil substance that insulates and cools a electricity cable essentially. So there are two identified in St. Ignace, so on the north side of the straits. Those entities have been notified, and at this time, there's no concern that there will be impact to the drinking water or freshwater intakes. Actually, at this time, it's uncertain why the lines failed. That is currently under investigation, and I'm sure that information will be forthcoming once they can make a determination. So the response right now is all shoreside, and so it doesn't have any impact to what they're able to do using the equipment to remove the product from those cables. It's really hard to say. They were going to do run the system for about 3 hours and see what kind of product they were able to get and see if they need to adjust the operations from there. At this time, we're still waiting for that 3-hour time frame to expire, and then we'll reassess and go from there.